Hello guys, and welcome to my two-handed Restoration Staff Stamina Templar build for the upcoming Murkmire patch. This is an incredibly powerful burst build with a great amount of sustain and a surprising amount of tank ability to it. It sports crazy healing power, crazy health regen, and a whopping 5.8k fully buffed weapon damage. Yeah, this build hits like a truck and it can stay and fight for a long time. Not only that, but we have built mobility into it as well. This is kind of me going for that glass cannon non-vampire stamina Templar variant. I know you guys have been wanting a non-vampire Templar from me, so here it is, guys. And finally, guys, I did want to mention that this is a PTS build, and due to the nature of the abilities that this build is using, etc., I actually can't play this build on live. If I tried to put it on live, I'd gimp myself big time. I'd lose out on a huge amount of effective stat. So I don't actually have any footage for this build, guys, and I'm really sorry. Normally, I do have PvP footage for you guys every time that we do a new build, but this is that rare exception where I just can't translate this build to the live server quite yet. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into the build and take a look at it. Alright, guys, so let's take a look at the build. So, to begin, we are a Nord on this build. I think the ideal races for this build are going to be Nord and Orc. And I say Nord and Orc because both of them get max stam and max HP bonuses, which is going to be good for this build. The max stam probably a little bit more, but they also both get that health recovery bonus. Nord, of course, gets a damage reduction, where Orc gets the bonus damage on their physical attacks. This is a very hard-hitting build, and this build has a lot of health recovery. So Nord and Orc are pretty BIS. Khajiit is even actually a good option for this guy, too. The increased crit rate is also nice, too. But there you go. Red Guard's also not bad. So, taking a look at the max stats on this build, we are coming in at 10k magicka, 24.5k health, and 32.4k stamina. So, nice max stat pools here, I think, for a medium armor build. We've got the 24.5k HP, so we've got higher HP than I normally run in medium armor, so that's pretty sweet. The 32k stam is also pretty good. That's more than I would normally run. Now, our regen side of things looks a little bit on the sparse side, but we've got a lot of stuff coming into the regen that's going to help make up for this. So when we buff up with our potion, we're sitting at 1274 stamina recovery. We are, of course, using the new restoring focus. This is going to give us 240 stamina recovery every 1 second when we throw this rune down. So we have the equivalent of 480 bonus stamina recovery on top of this, and that stamina recovery is extra valuable because it will recover through block. It will recover if you're animation canceling and you miss stamina recovery ticks. So that extra recovery is really, really good off of that rune change in the upcoming Murkmire patch. So we're going to be sitting at something like 1700 stamina recovery on this build. Now, it is a little bit on the lower side still, and this build hits super, super hard. So if you want to have a little bit more recovery on this spec, you can definitely drop some of your weapon damage glyphs for more recovery. Now, the health recovery we have coming in buffed with the potion at 1409. Now, this gets even better, guys. Oh my gosh, this build has got some health recovery. We, of course, are using the Troll King set, so fully buffed for our health recovery, we get up to 3,840, and while we're sprinting, we even get over that 4k mark with the wind running passive. So, very, very nice, I think, health recovery for a medium armor Templar. This is going to be really, really good to supplement with our very strong healing power that we're going to have on this spec. So taking a peek at our weapon damage now, we are sitting at 3,939 weapon damage with our rally up. And of course we have the infused back weapon here with the berserker enchant. So on the front bar, we actually get up to around 4,600 weapon damage. And then on top of it, we have auto and we have Sword Singer on, so 450 plus 400 base weapon damage. Yeah, this build is sitting at like something like 5.8k weapon damage, fully buffed with those sets. Those sets, of course, don't appear on our stat page here, but we do get to see them in our ability tooltips, so our abilities will have really high tooltips. We hit super freaking hard on this build. Really, really hard. I mean, it's almost disgusting how hard this build hits. We can hit almost 20k crit rushes on a mob. I mean, I don't even know what to say. The 10k crit rush on a player, I can't wait to see it again. When the Murkmire patch drops, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that big boy damage that medium armor is pulling this patch. So we've got that whopping 5.8 or so K weapon damage on our front bar. Huge amounts of damage to go with our stamina there. And then, of course, our crit rate on the front bar is going to be at 44% when we buff up. Our physical and spell resists are not too shabby on this spec. Fully buffed in our rune, we have 23.5 and 26.5k for physical spell resist. So not bad at all. And then, of course, when we step outside of our rune, we get the standard buff here, 19.5k physical and 22.5k spell resist. So not bad there. Oh, and we got the minor buff there too. So actually almost 21k physical and almost 24k spell resist. So not bad at all. We do, of course, have both major and minor physical spell resist buffs. So that's going to help out a lot. And then the crit resist, we are coming in at just under 2,200. Not a massive amount of crit resist, but yet again, not very bad. 2k plus is pretty good, I think. So we're going to have a pretty good amount of crit mitigation with this. Now, taking a look at the Mundus that we're running, we are actually using the Steed Mundus, and that is because they're changing the Steed Mundus to give 10% movement speed in the upcoming Murkmire patch. So, for the sake of movement speed, the Steed by itself is a really good option just for that movement speed. On top of it, it's going to give us 238 base health recovery, which is going to help because we, of course, take great advantage of the health recovery on this build. Now, we are a werewolf, and that is just because the PTS template comes as a werewolf. You don't need to be a werewolf or a vampire for this build. Optional if you want. And then for the food that we're using, we are using the Artaeum Takeaway Broth. This is, again, BIS for this kind of build. We get max health, max stamina. We get health recovery and stamina recovery. Really, really good food. You, of course, can go for the Dubious Cameroon Throne, which will not give you the health recovery. However, it's a lot cheaper than this food is. So that's the other alternative there, but you give up the health recovery, so it's up to you. But that health recovery makes it, I think, worth it, at least in PvP. It's really, really nice. Yeah, so I would say go and spend the extra buck if you can. Now, taking a look at the sets that we're running to bring this beastie build together, we've got the Troll King on to start. We have talked about this already. It's going to give us 1548 health recovery when we drop below 50% health and heal ourselves. We have tons of heals on ourselves on this build. We will be proccing Troll King as soon as our health drops below 50%, so that is going to be super fantastic for the build. The next set that we're running is Automaton, and we mentioned this again. This is going to be an excellent max damage set for the Stamina Templar. Weapon crit, max stam, weapon damage, 400 weapon damage to our physical damage abilities. All of our great sword abilities are physical damage, so we are going to get a massive amount of extra damage off auto there. And then the next set that we're running is Sword Singer, and I love this pairing. Auto Sword Singer, this is BIS burst damage for a great sword, I think. Really, really good set. Sword Singer is going to do the same thing as Auto, except give 450 weapon damage to our two-handed abilities, so a little bit more damage, and it will affect our heal. So Auto will only affect the Javelin, and Sword Singer, of course, will affect only Rally. But still, those are kind of not the really important burst skills. The Javelin is nice to hit hard, but man, do we have some serious damage on our Greatsword with this setup. Now, the final set that we're running on this build is actually the Asylum's Restoration Staff, and we're actually running this bad boy because when we cast the Blessing of Protection, it will reduce the cost of our next heal by 30% for 3 seconds. This gives us a really cheap Vigor following up the Asylum, following up our Combat Prayer. This is a really good combination, I think, for a Stam build. Look, it comes up to 1900 on the Vigor after we use the Combat Prayer. So I think this is a really good weapon, especially for a stamina build that wants to rock a Restoration Staff. This is a really nice set to have. So I'm really happy with slotting this on the back bar for this build. Of course, we don't need the 5-piece Sword Singer on this back bar. And this is infused with that Berserker enchant. Gotta have the Berserker enchant. This is going to help buff up the damage with the Restoration Staff. Restoration Staff, of course, is beautiful for kind of a setting buff bar because the poke with it is so fast, so you can get the enchant proc off really easily. On the Greatsword, we have gone with Nirnhoned and Disease damage for the enchant on here. I think this is pretty BIS. Stick with the disease. You can go with the weapon damage poison if you want to really push the weapon damage on this build even further. However, you won't be proccing it a lot with the kit that we run. So I think you're better off sticking to the disease damage for the greatsword here. For the rings, we have 2 infused and 1 piece of swift. Now, we've gone full weapon damage enchants as well here for that maximum damage. Like I had mentioned earlier, if you feel like you need more sustain on this build, you can definitely drop some of the weapon damage here for regen, and then you will get that sustain that you're looking for. This build pushes massive amounts of damage. You really don't need to stack it much higher than we already have it, so you don't got to worry about giving up too much damage. However, we left the full damage on here for the beauty tooltips, of course. The infused swift combo, they did nerf swift pretty good, so I just left 1 swift here. So we still have 16% movement speed with swift and the steed, which is really nice, giving us that faster sprint. The infused, however, is just going to be nice to bulk up that weapon damage. If you're in no CP, you could go with robust here if you feel like you need more max stam. For the gear, we have a mix of well-fitted and a mix of impenetrable. 3 impen, 4 well-fitted. I think that's pretty BIS for medium armor. I like running quite a bit of well-fitted. It's going to be nice for that sprint cost reduction and the roll dodge cost reduction. Of course, in medium armor, you want to try to avoid as much damage as possible. So well-fitted fits really well with that. Now, for the enchants on the gear, I actually went with full maximum stamina and didn't go with any tri-stat Hacky Joe. The max mag is not a big deal for this build because we don't have a ton of magicka skills that we need to pull from all the time. So it's honestly something that we don't need. And then the max health we make up with the food. So we're sitting at 24.5k already. So that's quite a bit of HP. We could go for more HP with the tri-stat Hacky Joe, but honestly, I think it's best off to stick with the max stam here. Just give us higher healing, higher damage. It's going to work out for this build a little bit better, I think. Now, let's take a look at the abilities that we're running on this build. We're going to start on that front bar, on the greatsword bar. And I'm going to buff up so you guys can see some of these tooltips because they are some mean-ass tooltips. We've got 6.6k Executioner. Yep, that's going to be our primary execute, dealing up to 350% more damage as their health drops below 50%. Really powerful execute on this build. It is going to hurt anyone below 50% really bad. So yeah, excellent execute potential on this spec. The next ability that we have is, of course, Critical Rush. 8,244 damage on the tooltip. A massive crit rush tooltip here. 40% additional damage depending on the distance that we are from the target, increasing as we are further away. And then, of course, it is always a guaranteed critical strike. On a squishy player, we will probably be able to hit the 10k crit rush on this build. That is a benchmark crit rush amount of damage. To hit a 10k crit rush is a huge gap closer damage. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with the damage on this build, and this tooltip here reflects that. Now, the next ability that we have is, of course, Resolving Vigor, and we have another tooltip to show off here. 18k Vigor over 5 seconds. Templar, of course, lost Minor Vitality this patch, so that's without Minor Vitality. We've got an 18k Vigor, so a huge heal from our Vigor here, and that, of course, is going to be cheaper if we cast it after we use Blessing of Protection on the Resto staff. For the rally, we are coming in at a 1,573 health every 2-second rally. Mix that with our Troll King, and then give us that big burst heal. Yeah, we have got a ton of healing power on this build. Very, very formidable healing power for the Templar. The next ability we have is the Binding Javelin. Now, the tooltip on this guy is a little bit lower because we, of course, are running Sword Singer, but still coming in at a beefy 8.2k and can proc that Burning Light. It's nice to have the Javelin here, too, for that 10% crit damage bonus as well. And now, for our ultimate, guys, we are coming in at a 24k Onslaught tooltip. This is insanity. This, I don't even know what to say. A 24k tooltip on an ability that ignores resistance. It seriously just ignores your opponent's resistances. Yeah, this is devastating. This ability, of course, will refund the cost of the ultimate if you get the kill with it, and on top of it, you strip your opponent's armor and give it to yourself, so you can slaughter tanks with this build. I think for killing heavy armor players, this is pretty much the BIS ultimate that you can run. Just strip the armor from them, hit them super hard through their tankiness, you catch them off guard with that really powerful hit, and then of course if you get the kill, you can go right into your next ultimate too, which is so powerful, perhaps even another onslaught. This is seriously an absolutely fantastic single target ultimate, and I'm so excited to finally use it this patch because they of course have changed major evasion to be AoE damage reduction. We no longer have a passive chance to miss our single target ultimates, so it's going to be really nice using this patch. I think this ability is just a tank shredder, an absolute beast of an ultimate. I don't know what to say. The amount of damage that we can dish out with this ultimate on this build is absolutely disgusting. So let's move on. The next ability that we have is Power of the Light. This is going to be great for setting our combo. This is going to be kind of our preemptive strike with our light attack off our Resto staff to, of course, proc the Berserker enchant 2. Light attack into the Power of Light. It's going to deal a little bit of upfront damage and then put the Power of the Light ability on them that will copy the damage that they take over, bursting them down after 6 seconds. They'll take 20% of the damage that they've taken. So a nice extra amount of pressure at the end of a good burst cycle there. On top of it, it will put Minor Breach and Minor Fracture on the opponent, giving them that bit of physical resistance debuff so you can hit them a little bit harder as well. Really nice burst ability, and of course it's great for the Templar because it gives us a powerful stam burst ability that we can have on our back bar as kind of a set ability, kind of like almost a pseudo bow staff that still works for the stam build. Now, the next ability that we have, of course, is Combat Prayer. This is going to be a very small heal. It's not here for that heal. It is here for that minor Berserk buff, 8% additional damage, so we don't have to run Slime Craw, allowing us to run Troll King for that massive health regen, and then we get both the physical and spell-resistant buffs as well. Very, very nice buff for this build, and then on top of it, casting this ability will make our Vigor cheaper, so we can go a Combat Prayer into a cheap Vigor. Really, really great for this build. Even if the Combat Prayer doesn't heal you for a lot when you use it, it can proc the Troll King too. Yeah, this is great. And on top of it, we can buff our allies with this too. So a really great ability for solo and group play for such a really powerful stamina burst build. I really like that we've put Combat Prayer in here. The next skill that we have is Race Against Time. This is going to be another buff skill. Access to our Major Expedition, which is really good. Major Expedition took some big hits this patch, but Race Against Time was unchanged, staying at 3 seconds. And that Minor Force buff for that 10% additional critical damage. Really, really nice. So the Major Expedition also comes with that sprint cost reduction. On this build, Race Against Time mixed with the Stamina Restore from Restoring Focus, we can sprint around almost for free while in combat. Very, very nice for the Stamina Templar. It's going to keep us incredibly mobile being able to do that. So yeah, I think for World PvP, the combination of Race Against Time and the Stamina Restoring Rune is really good for the Templar. This is going to be pretty great Templar kite game. And then, of course, the next ability we have is Extended Ritual. It's going to be our primary purge, and this just plays further into that kite game. We can remove snares, we can remove damage over time, we can remove negative effects. You can't go wrong with a purge in PvP, guys. It is one of the BIS abilities you can run on a Templar. Seriously, bread and butter Templar is to run the purge in PvP. It's so good. Remove all those negative effects. And then, of course, we talked about it a bit, the Restoring Focus Rune. This will give us both our major armor buffs, which is really nice, and that stamina recovery every 1 second, which is really nice too. Like I mentioned, that will restore stamina while we're blocking still, while we're roll dodging, while we're animation canceling. It won't interrupt like our other recovery does when we're in combat. So this is a really great ability. Big change for Stamina Templar to get this. This is going to give us massive sustain on the Templar this patch. And then, of course, while we stand in the rune, we get a little bit of a bonus to the amount of armor that it gives us. And then for the ultimate on this spec, guys, we are running Lights Champion. Absolutely fantastic. This is a very powerful ultimate. It gives you a lot of healing on this build, which is packing really impressive tooltips and a lot of healing power already. this is a really strong ultimate. It's going to give us the ability to actually tank a lot of players for a short period of time, which I think the Stamina Templar, without something like Mist Form, desperately needs in world PvP. So this is going to be a very good ultimate for this build, especially paired with Onslaught. If you get a successful Onslaught kill, you get the big armor bonus, and then go into the Lights Champion, you can put yourself in a place where you're a very, very powerful opponent for a period of time. And I really like it because it's kind of cool to see like synergy between the ultimates. The ultimates themselves are synergizing together on this build, which I think is really sweet. And then, of course, we get a massive amount of buff coverage from this ultimate on top of the heal. How much buff coverage do we have on this build? Absolute beauty Templar build. So much buff coverage on it. We get the major protection and the major force, more critical damage, and then that huge amount of damage reduction while this ultimate's up. So there you go, a defensive and offensive ultimate in one. Very, very nice ultimate ability, especially for this build that really needs that tank ability. So let's take a look at the champion points, guys. Starting off in the tower tree, we have got 26 in Warlord, 14 Sprinter, and 5 in Bashing Focus. We, of course, focus on Warlord because you have to break free, you gotta sprint, and you gotta bash, and usually in that order. For the Lover Tree, we've got 64 Mooncalf, 64 Healthy, 7 Arcanist, and 15 Tenacity. Big focus here on Mooncalf and Healthy. These are primary regens here, so we definitely need to bulk these two up. If anything, you want to focus on Healthy a little bit more. And then we didn't want to neglect Magicka too much, so we just put a little bit of the front heavy points in there. And then a little bit in Tenacity too, because we do get a lot of resource return from running the Resto Staff. The Resto Staff, of course, is going to supplement our lower Magicka sustain on this build if we need to have a lot of Magicka sustain on it. So that's going to work really well with the Resto Staff there. The Wind Running passive is really nice for this build, 2% movement speed, and then the 10% bonus to our Magicka and health recovery while sprinting. And we have such a cheap sprint, excellent synergy with this build to be running this passive, especially the movement speed too, giving us a total of 18% additional movement speed on this Templar, so really nice. Taking a look at the Shadow Tree, we've got 44 Tumbling and 31 in Shadow Ward. Focus, of course, on Tumbling because we are in medium armor and will be rolling primarily, but we do have to block as well, so we do not want to neglect the Shadow Ward portion of things. Nothing in this blue tree. In the Atronach, we've got 81 Master at Arm and 39 Physical Weapon Expert. Really standard Atronach tree for burst builds. Big focus on Master at Arm for all that direct damage attack bonus. Most of the attacks on this build are direct damage, so that will help big time. I think actually all of them are minus Pottle. And then Physical Weapon Expert is going to increase the amount of damage we do with our Greatsword, Light, and Heavies. Our Greatsword has a huge amount of damage on the Light and Heavy attacks, so this is going to buff that even further. The Tactician passive is, of course, the desired passive here for that additional off-balance effect when we roll an enemy's attack. And that off-balance effect pairs with the Exploiter passive here, which will increase the damage we do to that opponent by 10% when we set them off balance. Really, really nice pair of passives, especially for a medium armor build that's going to be rolling a lot. In the Ritual Tree, we got the 56 Mighty, 54 Piercing, and 40 Precise Strike. Big focus on Mighty Piercing because these are going to be your more primary things for PvP. Precise Strike, of course, we put some points in here too, but just a little bit less because we aren't as crit focused for PvP in general. Due to the shield changes, though, you could actually equal these trees out if you wanted and go for like a 50-50-50 spread or so. I guess I'm just biased and I always run it this way. So the important passives we get here, of course, is the Perfect Strike, that Exploiter, and then also Last Stand for Major Heroism. The Major Heroism is actually really nice. That's going to be pretty sweet because we have a lot of healing power on this build. We can easily come back from 20% HP, and we'll probably get dropped below 20% HP at some point during the fight. So a really great passive to have. And with the ultimate kit that we have, this is going to be really nice to help ensure that we always have an ultimate ready. Now, in the red tree, we have got 51 Ironclad, 63 in Resistant, 30 Spell Shield, and 30 Medium Armor Focus. Massive stack here. Oh my god. Huge amount of reduction for direct damage that we take. This is important. Most burst abilities are classified as direct damage, so you want to put a lot of points here. 30 Spell Shield, 30 Medium Armor Focus, just to bulk up those resists. We have awesome resists on this build, and it's because we have all the major minor buffs, and we have bulked up stat here as well. in the crit resist, we got 63, a lot in here again, and it is because we need that crit resist. It's going to help out. It's going to help out a lot in PvP. In the lady tree, we've got 32 hardy and 32 elemental defender, and I have forgone thick skin. Maybe should put a few points in here, but we are on a Templar, so we got a lot of purge, so it's okay if we don't. Got to reduce that incoming physical and magical damage that we take, though. And then in the Lord tree, we have got 32 quick recovery. And that is the build, ladies and gentlemen. Alright guys, that wraps up the build. I'm sorry we don't have PvP footage yet again. I will be playing this build on the live server once this patch hits live. I'm very excited to play this one on my Templar. And I'm sorry I didn't even have any dual footage of this guy. Don't worry though, I'll be playing this on live and we will definitely upload a montage or something once I start playing this guy on the live server. So if you guys enjoyed that video, feel free to hit that like and or subscribe button if you are new here and haven't subscribed already. I stream live on Twitch almost every single day, so if you guys want to catch me for that, the link of course is in the description. We feature community builds as well as community PvP clips. If you guys want to send some content to the channel, you can send it to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. And finally, we are sponsored by What the Fast. They are a VPN for gamers. If you get crap pinged to your favorite games, maybe they can help you out. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the build, and I hope to see you next time.